This is the anthem. Here's what you came for.
Welcome to the Disney Beat, a podcast brought to you by thedisinsider.com. My name is Sean Nyberg, and I will be covering all of the Disney headlines to keep you informed as you start your week.
Happening right now.
Hello there, this is Sean Nyberg, and this podcast is being recorded the evening of October 11th, 2020. All right, friends, let's dive into the news. All right, there is some reopening drama with Disneyland in the state of California. We have no official word on a reopening date or guidelines required for opening. We do know that Governor Newsom this last week did state that they are in no hurry to reopen theme parks and that they are taking a health-first approach when making this decision. This sparked a strong reaction from Disney's chief medical officer, who stated that they absolutely reject the suggestion that reopening the Disneyland Resort is incompatible with a health-first approach, adding, all of our parks have been allowed to open on the strength of our proven ability to cooperate with responsible health and safety protocols. The Disneyland Resort includes the Disneyland Park, but it also includes Disney California Adventure and the 3 hotels there, Disneyland Hotel, the Grand Californian, and Paradise Pier Hotel. The Disneyland Resort as a whole is the only park that is closed right now. Disney's been able to reopen the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. It has reopened the Disneyland Park in Paris. And it has opened its Asian parks in Shanghai, Hong Kong, and in Tokyo. So the last one to reopen is the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California. And we will keep you guys updated on this spat, if you could call it that, between Disney and the state of California, Governor Newsom's office. The county officials are involved now. The city and local leaders have been writing to the governor. So once we get any news on this, we'll report it at the Disinsider. We also found out that there have been 2 live action shows at the Disneyland Resort that appear to have been closed, and that's based on cast member announcements on social media. The 2 shows are Frozen, which is at the Hyperion Theater in the Disneyland California Adventure, and also Mickey and the Magical Map, which is in the Disneyland Park out in Fantasyland. They seem to be closed, and while we have no official word from Disney itself, based on what the news that the cast and crew of those shows got, it appears that they are closed, and there does not appear to be any announcement about if they are going to be permanently closed, potentially reopened, or maybe replaced. And so, especially the Mickey and the Magical Map, that theater out there takes up a big swath of land. So it'll be really interesting to see if they do bring back the show after the parks can reopen, if they're going to replace it with a new show eventually, or maybe actually take the theater down and potentially put some another ride there, or maybe shops, restaurants, etc. So we'll keep an eye on that. Also, the downtown Disney area is open. That is the only part of the Disneyland Resort that is open, and it does have some limited capacity. And because of the fact that they've been hitting that limited capacity over and over, almost guaranteed on the weekend, but also during the weekdays, they opened up a new pop-up shop, and that is it's technically in Disney California Adventure. It's Studio 17, which is it's over in the Disney backlot area, which is right next to the Monsters Inc. ride in DCA, California Adventure. It's right next to that, and there's no permanent attraction or anything in that building. You can actually rent it out for weddings, and it's used for special events. And right now, it's being used for they're calling it the Disney Backlot Premiere Shop. And right now, it's going to be full of Halloween holiday goodies, merchandise, clothing, etc. And it looks like it's anticipated to stay open through the holiday season in December with holiday goods and stuff. It seems like it's a lot of the same merchandise that you would find in the World of Disney, along with some new stuff. But World of Disney is the big Disney store in downtown Disney, and that has been having lines that would reach for hours to get into the store. So this is primarily done to pull some of the stress off that store. And, they've been having to stop people even from entering the entire downtown Disney area because they've hit capacity. Like I said, especially on the weekends, they are having to close down the parking or at least shut it down on a rotating basis throughout the day, just so they can make sure they don't hit any kind of maximum capacity issues and trigger any problems with the public health departments and stuff. So that has opened up. And my first thought too, which might be your thought, is that since this is inside the California Adventure Park, that you might be able to sneak in through the park to get into it. But no such luck. They created a back entry. So you'll be coming in off the Esplanade, which is the area in between the entrances to the two parks, if you're familiar with Disneyland. It's off to the side, and so you'll enter through the back way right into the studio, the pop-up shop area. So you won't be able to actually go through the park, which I know a lot of us were hoping. Also now at the Walt Disney World Resort over in Central Florida, there's been some a really good news story came out that I reported on the other day. The New York Times actually did a story, and they found that there have been no COVID-19 outbreaks tied back to the park amongst either guests or cast members. So the park, the resort, which includes 4 theme parks and multiple hotels, started their phased reopening in mid-July. And there was a lot of concerns, obviously, about them doing so. But they've done it. They've been doing it slowly, and it's been really working great, apparently. In an investigation by the New York Times, they found that there's been no major outbreaks. While there have been a few cast members who have tested positive for COVID-19, there was no reason that it would... there's no reason to believe that it was tracked back to any activity that related to their employment. And... not only did the New York Times find this information out from Disney itself, which might lead someone to think, oh, well, maybe they have an interest in maybe suppressing some data. It also came from local officials. Again, though, with politics, there might be some people who are thinking, well, we can't really trust local officials right now with the political situation going on. But one of the best sources that they cited were the multiple dozens of employee unions who represent the cast members at various different positions, from ride operators to restaurant staff to hotel workers to actors, custodial, everything. And none of them, if you know much about unions, you'll know that they're not really known for painting a rosy picture about the larger company that their employees work for. And all of them have reported the same story, that there have been no outbreaks tied back to the park in terms of COVID-19. So that's pretty good news for Florida. They do know that, we're coming up into the flu season, and, this pandemic is still raging pretty strong, and it's still pretty deadly. So they're not counting their chickens quite yet. They're optimistic. They're really showing this to the officials in California, that they're able to do this in Florida. They have very low capacity. They're keeping the numbers very, in terms of attendance, very low. They have social distancing guidelines. There's a lot of rules in terms of food. You have to pre-order it on your phone, or there's just certain safety precautions you have to take. They are really separating you in rides, so you're not going to be next to any strangers in a ride vehicle, and there's not going to be a stranger right in front of you. You can stay with your group, but they pretty much are making almost every car or every ride vehicle your own private one, essentially. Strict mask policy. They've announced that they will remove you from the park if you refuse to put them on. So anyway, all these rules and all these precautions, including extra hand sanitizing stations, extra, cleaning stations. They have a bunch of employees wiping everything down. They run them a full cycle without people on them and totally scrub everything down to keep them clean. So they've shown that so far this has been working pretty good in Florida. And so hopefully sometime soon that the park in California can reopen. Also, down in Florida, it's been reported that the Mickey and Friends characters, so, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, they'll be returning in mid-December to Chef Mickey's restaurant at the Contemporary Resort in Disney World. The characters, of course, will be maintaining distance from guests, but they'll be doing some photo opportunities at a distance, and apparently they'll be doing some sort of like cavalcade, some parade or something throughout the middle of the restaurant, which is just, again, a small little sign that they're starting to bring some of the stuff back that their guests really, really want. Now, in other news, over in the movie news, there's a Pixar film called Soul. It was supposed to be released this summer, but because of the COVID-19 situation, it got bumped to Thanksgiving for a theatrical release, but it was just announced this last week that it'll be released on Christmas Day on Disney Plus. And unlike Mulan, this will not be an added cost. So it'll be all just a part of your normal subscription fee, and it'll be available Christmas Day. It stars Jamie Foxx and it stars Tina Fey. And there have actually been some early reviews of the film because it was supposed to be released earlier in the year, and they've started to trickle out a little bit in the last day or so, and they are absolutely phenomenal. The gentleman who is directing it is the same guy who did Inside Out and a bunch of other earlier Pixar films, and he is very highly regarded in the industry, and this one looks to be another milestone with the company, and so I'm really looking forward to that, and a nice little Christmas Day gift for those of you. It was also announced that there's an Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's a character from Star Wars, for those of you who do not know, Disney Plus series. People who follow Star Wars and Disney have been aware of this series for a while now, but it was finally announced that it will start filming again in March. This is confirmed by Ewan McGregor. This was supposed to have been already filmed and released, but again, and you'll hear this frequently, unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic pushed back production of the TV series. So will be available on Disney Plus sometime next year. Also, in a weird little exclusive for the Disney Insider, we learned that an obscure 1997 Disney Channel original movie titled Under Wraps is getting a remake, and it's likely will premiere on Disney Plus. The production's is to begin November of this year, and it should be wrapped up by December. There's no date when it'll be released and exactly how it's going to be released, but it's likely going to be released next fall because the original film Under Wraps is a zombie mummy type inspired show, so it's likely going to be a one of their new Halloween releases. Earlier today, it's Sunday, actually, October 11th, to celebrate National Coming Out Day for the LGBTQ community. 20th Century Studios, which is a movie studio that Disney owns, so it's a subsidiary of Disney. 20th Century Studios has a movie called Everybody's Talking About Jamie, and they released its trailer today. The movie it's an adaptation of a West End musical. The West End is like New York's Broadway, but it's in London, and it was a West End musical, and it's been adapted into a movie, and it basically follows the story of a teenage boy who finds his passion for drag, and it's like a coming of age movie with the main protagonist finding his passion to one day be a drag queen, and coming to grips with it, coming out to his friends and family about it. So it was a really big show in the West End, especially in the LGBT community. And so the adaptation of the movie is really something that a lot of people are looking forward to. And they released the trailer, which is available at thedisinsider.com. And another trailer got released, wasn't the first, but another trailer for the upcoming 20th Century Studios film Free Guy, starring Ryan Reynolds. And they dropped the new trailer for that this week as well. You can find both those at thedisinsider.com. And in a rare bit of Nightmare Before Christmas news, it was announced that some of Broadway's biggest stars are coming together for a virtual event on Halloween of this year, Halloween, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to perform songs from the hit movie. And the proceeds for this event are going to go to Lymphoma Research Foundation and Actors Fund. So you can find information about that. It's Nightmare Before Christmas special musical event this Halloween, and the link and all the information you need for it is at the Disinsider. Turning to Marvel news, it was reported that Benedict Cumberbatch will reprise his role as Doctor Strange in the upcoming Spider-Man film. There's no official word on how the character will be integrated into the Spider-Man story, but many are speculating that he will step in as a father figure for Peter, filling the void that Tony Stark left. And finally, some unexpected news in both the theme park and movie world. It was announced that a new movie is currently being developed that will be themed after the popular Disney Parks ride Space Mountain. Details for the film are being kept under wraps, but it is currently expected to be a theatrical release rather than a straight to Disney Plus streaming project. And we'll be following the developments of this film as we get some more information on it. You know, we know some of the producers involved. You know, one of the producers produced the live action remake of Aladdin. And so there's some big heavy hitters involved in the early production of this thing. So also, in talking about theme park rides that have been adapted into movies, if you check out our Diz Insider Facebook group, we've listed the 6 films that are currently in development that are based on rides from the Disney parks. One of them is the Space Mountain project coming up, but there are 5 other movies that are currently in production, or at least in development. One of them is already wrapped, and there are 5 of them, and they are based off of the Disney park rides. And you can check out the list over at the Diz Insider Facebook group. One of them has actually been in development since 2014, and it will likely surprise you. So when you go through them, you'll know which one I'm talking about, because we have listed there that it was been in development since 2014. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to the Disney Beat podcast. We are brought to you by the DizInsider.com. Further details from all these stories that I've mentioned today will be found at that website. And there's a lot of other stories that we did not have time for today that are also on the website. It will be updated almost hourly with new stories. So, keep an eye on the website for anything breaking in terms of Disney news. You can also follow us on our Facebook page, which I mentioned earlier, the Diz Insider, or you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the handle at the Diz Insider, all one word, at the Diz Insider. My name is Sean Nyberg, and you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with the username at Sean Nyberg. That's SeanNyberg, all one word, SeanNyberg. I also co-host the Disney podcast Walt's Apartment, where we cover all aspects of Disney, including Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Disney Plus, and more. And I also co-host the Disney theme parks focused podcast, Extra Magic Hour. You can find all of these streaming on Apple Podcasts and wherever you stream your favorites. Thank you for listening, and I'll be here again next week for another edition of the Disney Beat, covering all aspects of the Walt Disney Company. Have a great week.